First room, second room. This room's kind of disorderly. Like, this carpet needs to just be totally overhauled, but you know. And here is the third room. I haven't done this room yet, but I did vacuum it with my Aris Platinum. And I vacuumed it really good, really thoroughly. Over here, I mean, I've got my other machines like Electrolux Power Nozzle Simplicity is right there, Rainbow, Kenmore, my TriStar sitting on the bed, Filter Queen Power Nozzle, steam cleaner, stuff I put up on top of the bed. And since this is a spare room and nobody stays in here, I keep my hoses in the drawers. So this room is the room that I'm going to be shampooing. I'm not going to do a full shampoo video of it, so I'm just going to do like a couple passes. And that's the beauty of having this new phone, is I get to put the pause on and go back and like grab things, so it's not like there's going to be much waiting. So you can see there's still some residual suds in here from when I've done the other rooms. So the one thing that you want to do between rooms is this tray lifts up and out, which you should know that upon installing this whole thing onto the machine. And the way you do it is there's a lever here. You just flip it upwards, and when you attach this, you want to make sure that it's in the belt off position, and then you rotate it around when you've set the nozzle up onto the motor shaft. So I would show that, but I feel like there's going to be some people who've never done this before. So what you do is you always make sure that the red arrow, when you're putting it onto the machine, is in the belt off position. Why is this so tough? Okay, there we go. So it's always in the belt off position. I usually have this red piece attached. You want to make sure the 90-degree angle is towards the back of the machine, and the long piece is just attached straight to the front. So what you do is there's two hooks, one here and one there, and it just sits up on top of the support bracket on the Kirby vacuum. And another good way to know if you're doing it right is there's a little plastic piece that goes into this little hole on the Kirby. So what you do is you push this up, make sure that it's flush against the vacuum, and then you rotate this on. So this holds the nozzle onto the vacuum, and then you rotate this so the red arrow is at the belt on position. So it's just like attaching the normal vacuum nozzle onto the Kirby, and I think this is what really deters people from owning one of these for an extended period of time. Then this tray just sets in there like that, and you want to make sure that this piece is closed. If you have an older Kirby, they didn't have these. This is a new generation, or they're all, I guess, a part of the Generation series Kirbys. But this window should always be closed downwards, and on the older machines, this didn't exist. They didn't have this part. But the idea is the shampoo is made by the solution with the water and the Kirby shampoo. The air that gets blown, that naturally is blown, like all the dirt that goes up into the bag, this is all exhaust air. So what it does is there's a black filter that will actually seat on here when you put the shampoo tank on. That is so if the Kirby does pick up any dirt or anything like that, because don't worry about it sucking up water, because it doesn't suck up the water. That's not how the Kirby shampooers work. That black filter needs to be there, so if there is anything like really light, like fluff or something like that, that does get sucked up, that's okay. It won't pick up anything heavy like moisture. That goes through the Kirby, and then it gets stuck to that filter. So it's important that you make sure that's in place, for one, and two, you clean it off when you're done with the shampooer. The hard part is trying to attach the tank and attach this at the same time. There's really no easy way to do it, but that's why this is bendy and flexible, so you don't have to worry about it breaking or snapping something. So I'm going to go get the tank, and I'm going to put this on pause. I also recommend that you take the Kirby with the tank not attached to the room first. Go fill up the tank and everything, and then bring the tank with you rather than trying to push the tank over the floor and bumps and stuff, or even picking it up. You don't want to pick up the Kirby if there's solution in the tank. You only want to roll it, and you want to roll it slowly because you don't want the water and stuff to slosh up into certain places and get into like the filter screen and things that haven't been made into foam coming down in here, or even sloshing up into the filter part. So I'm going to put this on. So here is my tank with my solution in it. What you do is you fill up the water for like a decent sized room, and it may not even still be enough. You fill it up to this line right here. You can see there's 3 bars that go horizontally. There's 2 bars that are right here, and then 1 bar right here. Meaning those are caps. That's showing you how many capfuls of solution need to go in. So if you fill it up to the 3rd bar, you need 3 caps. If you fill it up to 2, you need 2 caps, because you don't want 3 caps of solution, which is this right here. It's like a beaker and a cap to the solution tank, and there's a little dripper, like a pouring spout there. You don't want too much in it to over foam or excessively foam and then ruin your carpet, which I don't really think would happen, but it wouldn't dry very fast. So you want to make sure that it's diluted properly, and you only use genuine Kirby carpet shampooer or carpet shampoo. Don't put Bissell or anything like that. It's not the same thing. Those don't sud. They don't suds up. This stuff is actually designed to be pushed through this little screen right there, the red part, and it turns to foam, and then it gets blown through here. That stuff that the Bissells and Hoovers, they don't foam. They're not made to foam and suds up. So it won't even work. Like, you won't get any results. It won't look right, and it won't work on the Kirby. So what I usually do is I twist this part towards me like that, so it's easier to put this on. So this just sits on here like that. Well, there's a little, you can see it right here. These 2 pieces sit on, like, if I can get it. I might have to push this down and out of the way. Move that over just a little. So this goes on here, and it's okay if you push on that red nozzle a little bit. So you kind of have to have the tank swung out a little bit so it sits. Then you twist it, and then it locks into place. So then when I'm turning this up, I usually push so this goes on to here a little easier. You push this down, and then this part is the tricky part. Trying to make sure that nothing pops off, but this pops on. So there we go. So that's on there like that, and then that part's on too. So that's the hardest part, I think, is putting the tank on, and then the hardest of all is this hose. Don't be afraid to get a little aggressive with it. You're not going to break this because it's like rubber. So this tray flips down. It doesn't matter if this is up or down when you're installing that. So what happens is all the foam blows into here. This is a little different because on the old Kirby's, there was a hose that attached right into the center. I think that's a better design, but it doesn't really have any issue with distributing the foam all the way across. So now that it's in the room, you want to make sure that you start by a wall, because the solution is best dispensed in the reverse motion. You can go in both forward and backwards, but this is the direction that I always do. I always start like in the middle of the room, and I'm like, crap, you see the foam come out when you're moving backwards. So let me try and set this up the best I can. It's probably not going to, honestly. I didn't think this through. I guess I'm just going to hold it. So what you do is you turn the machine on. You don't use the tech drive. You always make sure that it's in the neutral when you're shampooing carpets. And you put the height adjustment all the way down. If it's a really shaggy carpet, you may want to bump it up a little bit. I haven't shampooed this room before, so I'm just going to go and give it a shot and see what it does. If you see me bump it up, that's because I think that it's too low. Also, I usually do sections. Like, I will do like maybe 4 feet out and maybe stop right over by the air register and then turn off the foam. So when you start, you want to make sure that this is in the off position. This is for hard floor, this is for carpet. So what I do is when I turn it on and I'm adjusting everything, I leave it in the off position. You turn it on to the carpet setting over here, you turn the nozzle, and it'll start to dispense the foam, and you'll see it all start to go in there. If you don't, then you're missing probably the filter screen. And then I turn the foam off, and then you just rub and you agitate it in with just the Kirby running with the brush. And then when you want to move to the next spot, you turn the foam back on. This makes it, you want to make sure you do that because some people get like so worried and carried away and they're like, oh my gosh, it's getting everywhere, what do I do? Just make sure that you're controlling it. If you don't want as many suds, you can do it on the hard floor setting if you're doing like a really low pile carpet and you don't need that much. So just pick a section, put the foam down, agitate, and then turn it off, and then go to the next part of your room. You don't need to, if the furniture is in there like this, I'm not moving the bed. Don't bother messing with it. If this room was empty, it would be a lot easier. You wouldn't have to do the whole section thing, but I am. So the unit's all the way up off the floor. So I turn the suds off, and it's okay if the foam collects on the front. It's not a big deal. So when you turn it off, you should always have it ratcheted up, but since I'm like trying to do everything with a camera in my hand too, I'm trying to do my best. So you can already see it looks really good. But it's okay if the foam collects there up on the front. It's not a big deal. Now when you're doing edges and corners and up against walls and furniture, I would recommend, especially if you're doing it in a corner like that, starting like this, like the way that I'm going, and then coming at it from the side too, because you got to understand the brush is right here. It's not in the front, which is typically why you don't see a lot of the foam start to dispense right next to the wall. It's kind of a pain, so you have to get at it from the side because the side of the brush is like right underneath my finger. So you need to get up against the wall that you couldn't get head on with actually the side of the shampooer. So that's the best way to really do it. So I'm going to probably do an after review, maybe even vacuuming with this, all the residue, because when the carpet's dry, you have to vacuum them. And I would recommend your pre-vacuuming, you should always do with either, obviously, your Kirby, because most people watching this probably don't have a surplus of vacuums. But the Eris that I have is really good at cleaning carpets. It's great at deep cleaning, but I'm not going to use it to remove the residual dirt that dries and needs to be vacuumed up because that's the final process of shampooing with the Kirby. So it's kind of a multi-step process. You vacuum, shampoo, vacuum. So I'll use the Kirby to do that. And all you do is you take off the tank, which you'll probably have to do if you're doing multiple rooms because it's not going to do multiple rooms on one tank. Unless it's a tiny room. You remove the nozzle there, rinse everything off, store the belt and the brush separately from the unit, and then you pop the dirt nozzle on, and then you put your bag back on. So thank you for watching. If you have questions, please comment, So if this is an old video, don't be afraid to drop a comment. I will reply. Thank you.